Good morning. Welcome back to my garden. Today we are continuing on with the spring garden tours, and right now we're in the backyard. So we just looked at the front yard last time, and now we're back here, and it's similar feel, but it's a lot more cozy. And so I'm excited to show you how things are looking because this is just really got to be my favorite time in the garden. So I will flip you around and show you our backyard. Okay, so we'll start right here. This is just right off of our side patio and our carport. And this is the first thing you see, or I see when I park my car. And I just love this view. I did prune back this barberry right here really hard. And so I was glad to do that because it was getting pretty large. See this Daphne, this variegated Daphne is just finishing blooming and it smelled wonderful. Such a welcoming smell when I first get home. So I like this little quaint garden bed. I have a hydrangea, variegated hydrangea in this container that I keep meaning to get actually in the ground, but I have yet to do that. This was also just in beautiful bloom. This is I'll put it on the screen. It's a rhodie, nice kind of dark leaves, but the blooms were so beautiful. And then sweet, bright new growth on that one. Swinging this way. It's a very shady bed. This is kind of probably my one true shade bed. It does not get much sun at all. Inside this container, I have more of these beautiful hellebores that have just been blooming and blooming. They did incredibly well in this container. It's underneath a tricolored beech, a very skinny tricolored beech. In this spot. So next to that is a hydrangea, and it's underplanted with some lamium and some bleeding hearts. And this is banana appeal. It's an anise shrub, and it's an evergreen, and it has this gorgeous foliage all season long, and it smells like black licorice. So deer don't like it, and that's a happy addition to this shade bed for me. I have a couple more of those down along the way that I'll show you. This is a red twig dogwood that doesn't really have much for red twigs. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's okay. Once it's done blooming, I will cut this back pretty hard because it eventually creeps up in front of our window and I don't want it to really obscure our view. It's glad to see these little ferns are coming back in there. It's really, really full of the roots of this shrub now, and so I wasn't really sure if those were gonna come back. There's a huge sword fern. I need to cut these out. You can see all the new growth in there. I like to wait until I see those kind of really making a statement on the inside before I cut this guy back because it looks so bare right here once that's cut back. So here's a golden euonymus, and it usually doesn't have much for gold color because of the shade that it's in, but that new growth is super pretty. It's a hydrangea that I wasn't sure that actually made it back, but I can see there is new growth down there. I'll show you. It's another of the same variety. Summer Crush, I want to say, is the variety in another bed that is covered in its new growth. So I'm not really sure why that one's so slow right there, but underneath here we have some hostas also, which is another reason why I should prune this guy so that the hostas can get some light and get their growth on them. Some beautiful violas. The evergreen clematis that was here did not make it through the winter. So early on, when this was in bloom in the garden center, I bought another one. And I want to plant it in here, but I know that I will have to dig out the violas, and I'm not ready to do that yet. So here it sits in its pot and doing okay. It's really, really wanting to grow. It'll be kind of tricky once I do plant it in its pot because you can see it's already adhering itself to the supports. So I'll probably have to get onto that pretty quickly. So here's a couple pots that I have on the back porch. This one, you were with me when I planted this one up last year, and it's still looking beautiful. Another Kinnikinnick. I had 3 of those in the front garden, and I had a 4th, and I didn't know where to put it. So it's in the pot, and it did actually really well there over the season. There we have a sweet hanging basket with some violas and a daffodil on the inside that's almost bloomed out, but I'll just be able to pop that daffodil out and put something else in there while the pansies are still, or violas are still pretty. Back tucked behind the barbecue, there's some Brennera. It's kind of a golden variety, so it's nice bright spot. We'll pan this way. In each of these boxes here, these are cedar planter boxes that my husband made. I have Franklin's Gem boxwood, I want to say, is in each of those. They're starting to put on a lot of their growth and will need to be sheared back soon, but these are so sweet. These overwintered. I planted these in the fall, and I did that knowing that they would probably do well all the way over winter, which they did, and then they are just glorious this spring. So that's been super sweet to look out the window and see. Very large hardy geranium. This is a hellebore that's not planted in, it's just in its pot in there, or its nursery can, but I haven't minded that look, I guess, but I should probably pull it out or else it'll get smothered by that hardy geranium that is also right here. This is a pink variety that absolutely goes crazy. It is everywhere. It's a little bit of a garden thug, but it's so pretty when it blooms. So I don't take it out, but yeah, it's a little bit crazy. Another hellebore that's the same variety I just showed you that is actually planted in the ground. Johnny jump ups that seed themselves everywhere. Here's some lungwort that we transplanted up here last season that came back nicely. It's blooming, so that was exciting to see. And then this gorgeous, gorgeous peach quince. Double take peach, maybe. It's a proven winners variety. I'll put the name of it up on the screen, but I love that. I think it's so beautiful. It's a welcome sight this time of the year when not much else is blooming. Clematis that's starting to make its way up. Spirea that I cut back really hard. See all that new growth? That's good to see. When a plant is old and scraggly, you can just, a lot of times, especially with Spirea, a lot of shrubs, you can do that. Just cut them all the way back, let them rejuvenate. It's a Rose of Sharon that I have yet to really see bloom well, but it is pushing all sorts of new growth. So maybe this will be its year. The variegated white Gela that's covered in buds. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous shrub. Lovely Japanese maple on this side. This is so beautiful when the morning light shines through it. We might get a chance to see that here as the sun is still kind of coming up. This is one that I need to spend a little bit of time on coming in and cleaning up the inside of it so that it is branching out more, but I've had this one in the ground for maybe 9 years and I love it. This is the back side of this garden. It doesn't get much attention up here. Double file viburnum is all budded up. This one came from my parents' house that I grew up in. It was just a start underneath my mom's. It was just a baby that grew up underneath the one that she had, and I've had this in the ground for 12 years. I always remember that because I planted it when our golden retriever was a puppy, and he pruned it all the way down to the ground for me, and then it grew back beautifully after he did that. So that helped me not be afraid to prune back shrubs really hard after I saw he did that for me. Some pretty heuchera through here. This stuff is evergreen for me, and this purple variety seems to do really well. It seems to be very happy up here. I don't know what it is about this spot, but it is vigorous up here. So that is practically almost like a shrub. It's doing so well. Up here doesn't get a lot of attention up here. This is another beautyberry, and this is a variegated honeysuckle that is happy up here. It doesn't get any care at all, and it just grows and blooms beautifully. So I'm thankful for that. There's a hosta in here that is surrounded by some of the most obnoxious weeds, but that'll be really pretty. Look at the growth on that. This is not a slug. It looks like it, but it's not. But look at the coloring on that. It's so pretty. Okay, so we'll make our way down these little steps here. Spirea on the left, the right. This little bed here has a lot of low-growing sedums in the front. and it has a peony in the back there that I'm going to need to probably transplant at some point because it just doesn't get enough sun that it needs to bloom really well. Okay, let's just kind of scroll this way a little bit. This is a fir tree that seeded itself here that we've just kind of been maintaining and using it as a Christmas tree at Christmas time through our window with lights on it. So it's really pretty, but it is soon going to outgrow this space and it will have to come out for sure. Next to that is a Seven Suns tree. And I really, really like it here. It's not a huge tree, but so I like that. It's not, super dense to block our view, up into the trees and stuff. But this is a really pretty one all season long because it has the really cool bark. And then it did leaf out really nice and early, and it'll get beautiful fragrant flowers on it later on in the summer. So that one is doing well. And back here, I'm sad to say that I missed filming the bloom time of this beautiful magnolia. It did an amazing job. I just planted this in this container last spring, and it bloomed profusely, which was a relief to me. So this is our dry creek bed. That's what we call this area. And this is kind of a walkthrough garden up here. It's 4 different little spaces, all kind of partitioned off by little rock walls, and we'll walk through there to see what's up there. There's a little bit of phlox that's blooming right here. There's another red twig dogwood, a different variety, obviously. It has the very, very beautiful bright colored leaves on it, and this one has much more color in the stems, and it's just been in that container for several years now. Hopefully it continues to be okay with that. I just took out a lavender here, similar to what I talked about in the front garden. The lavender sometimes, it just gets a little bit old and leggy and woody, and so it was looking kind of scraggly. So I pulled that out, but I do have another one to replace it with. You can see we have a lot of the wild strawberry that just kind of runs amok and spreads itself around. I'm kind of constantly pulling it out from areas where I don't want it, but in other places it's okay to be there. So some more phlox underneath there, butterfly bush that's coming on, and then this tree, I'll have to put on the screen of what this one is because I forget, but it'll get sweet little white bell-shaped flowers here on it pretty soon. Not much on the front side of this one, but then we come around and you see some more candy tuft and some more spurge in the back here, and another stand of creeping phlox. So you can see why I was excited to plant some more of that in the front garden beds, because it is a striking little plant. Right here I have a hydrangea standard that needs to find a home. I had it in a container in this garden over here, but it was kind of competing, a little bit too similar of a look to this Rose of Sharon standard that I have here. So I pulled it out of the container, and now I need to figure out where else I want to put it. I'm not really sure where that will end up, but as I come back through here, you can see this path takes you through. This is a few more, I think these are Glow Girl spireas. This is another one of the birch leaf hydrangeas, and these ones bloom on old wood, but it is covered in little sweet buds. So that'll be fun to see that blooming here shortly. I did have a little nice hedge of heuchera along here, but you can see that a couple of them got dug out. I don't know if the dogs did that as they were trying to get a critter out, or what the deal was there, but that's too bad. The kitties were hanging out in here behind another barberry and a silver Spanish lavender right there. This climbing rose is doing super well. It's gotten a lot of growth on it. I'll have to look and see if I can remember what variety it is. I don't remember. This is a little Green Mountain boxwood that I'm kind of training into a conical cone shaped myself. It's got a lot of growth on there, so that'll be ready really soon to be pruned. So as I come back around this way, I have a clematis trying to grow up this bird feeder here. It keeps falling down. I need a better way of adhering it to that. So there's a little bit of candy tuft, another spirea, and we have some purple sage. And next to this, I think it's blonde platinum lavender, which I just love that new growth, that contrast there. You can see another one right back there. Has some, I think this is either Carmina or Bayakova geranium, and you can see these little starts that are coming out here. These are super easy to transplant. If you just watched the front garden tour that I did, I showed you some starts of that I planted out there, and those are doing really well. So this really spreads, and it'll be really sweet seeing it blooming out of these spots. But if I wanted to transplant it around the garden, those would be easy to move elsewhere. It's kind of a sad looking a sad looking boxwood. It's not really supposed to be that color, but it is pushing new growth that is the right color. But all three of them that are right here did the same thing. It might be spider mite damage, I don't know, but they're still alive and they're still looking, I don't know, they kind of almost look like they're doing their own thing, which is, I'll just keep them there and see how they do. So there's a couple Nepeta, and then we have another crabapple right here that it's pretty spindly. This is again, one I need to try to figure out how to prune to maybe make it a little bit more dense. If any of you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. But it is just covered in buds and covered in blooms, so it is super pretty. And then this is the same variety over here that also, it's just kind of gangly, not the best form, but it is blooming. So I don't really know. I don't know how to rehab. I don't really know how to rehab a tree. I can do a shrub, but I'm not the best on trees. So this area back here is a little bit sad. It's kind of a little bit of a neglected area, I feel like, but there's some things growing amongst the rockery. There's some woolly thyme and some junipers up there on the top. Some more golden oregano up there that's doing pretty well. Little phlox and dotting along the front, which I really love that look. That's a Leyland cypress right there that is just in that pot, and it'll stay pretty small as long as it's in that container, and I'll just keep it there for as long as it's okay being in the pot. I like having that evergreen interest right there, right next to the gold cypress here in this area next to the chair. I come along this way. This garden bed also, it has another lavender that I'll be taking out. I just cut this one back really hard. This is a silvery Spanish lavender that was just really super overgrown, but I have a really nice sized one in a container that I'm going to be planting in there soon. There's some jasmine and another clematis that's flopped over a little bit. I have some clematis that I stay really on top of cutting back, so it's really nice and bushy, but this one, you can see that little stem down there, but it does have new growth on it. I could probably still just cut it back and it would probably, get a little bit bushier, but I didn't do that, so we'll see how it does as it is. This bed has been just kind of growing over the last several years. I've been adding things in, taking things out. Just last year I put in this the California lilac. So that should be blooming soon. Underneath there's a sunshine ligustrum and some Gara that's coming up right there. Just see kind of just a number of things. Here's another. So this is, again, this is either the Bayakova or the Carmina. I forget which one is where, but you can just see really how much it spreads itself out. It is, hardy geraniums are one of those things that if you want an area covered in beautiful foliage and beautiful flowers, I suggest planting them. But if you don't want to plant that you have to kind of I don't know, maintain as much, maintain the spreading of it, this might not be for you, but it is a beautiful plant. I'll show you that once it's in bloom. I really like this boxwood. Look how shiny that new growth is. It's really pretty. I think this one is a baby gem, maybe a winter gem. I'm sorry, I don't always remember exactly. This is the same variety, but it unfortunately had spider mites pretty bad last year, so it's pretty dappled on its leaves. So over here we have a viburnum standard. Um, we'll see if how that does this year. That was just planted in last year, I believe. This lilac is covered with blooms, so that will be opening up very soon. That's taken a minute to get established, but it's okay. I don't really want it to get huge or anything. It is just a smaller variety, but it's taking its time. This is a creeping Veronica, and I just love it. I need to get more of these. It's an evergreen ground cover, and it has these sweet white flowers on it now. And it is, I just planted that in last year in several different places, and each spot I've put it, it's done really, really well. Maybe I should be showing you on the other side of this garden, because the back side is, you know, shaded by the trees, so it's probably not its best angle. This is a Vitex that I have in this container, just because it pushes its growth out so late that I haven't found a good spot that I wanted to award it in the garden, so it's just in a container. But it seems to be pushing its buds actually a lot sooner than normal. I either probably need to gift that to somebody or find a spot for it actually in the garden. But this beautiful Hebe, I planted that several years ago. It took a hard hit in one of our winters, not last year, but the year before. So I cut it way back, and then it refleshed out, and it's looked beautiful ever since. So white phlox and my Monet Weigella. Just planted this last year, and I'm excited to see that it has buds. It's supposed to only be ranked zone 7, so I wasn't sure how it would handle, you know, not getting very much cold in the winter, to whether it would actually bloom or not. But it looks like it's going to. I love the color combination between this rich red of the barberry, and I think this is a false cypress. I'll have to look that one up. I think it's soft serve, I want to say, is that variety. This garden is a little bit prettier from afar. I feel like when I come up a little bit closer to it, I'm like, I don't know. But here's another one of the creeping Veronicas. It's looking sweet. I just planted this spirea in this year because the one that was here was pretty overgrown, pretty old, kind of I don't know, needed to be replaced. So this is the double play doozy spirea, and I really love this one because it has such beautiful new growth, and of course the flowers are gorgeous on that. There's just some sedums planted in amongst the rocks, and some foxglove just coming up wherever it wants to, because that's what foxglove does in my gardens. I'm often weeding that out. As you can see, there's one right there. So a lot of them get to stay, but I do take out some that are a lot of times growing in amongst other plants and things like that. So there's some yarrow in there. And lots of the serendipity allium. I love having that in my gardens. Okay, so we'll just scan around this way. Right there, actually, you can see right here, that's a madrone that seeded itself there. Those are really actually very hard to transplant, and when I saw it growing there, I wasn't sure if we were going to keep it, but I've really enjoyed what it adds to our garden. I've just been kind of limbing it up as it's grown, and I'm excited to see what that does for the space. So this little collection of pots here, need to water the hellebore, but this is a hemlock. put the name on the screen, but I love it. It stays this beautiful bright yellow all season long, all winter long. So that's been a really fun evergreen to look out at. And there's an ornamental grass and a little, I think that's a bird nest spruce in that one. And then another kind of repeated element you see throughout my garden are the boxwood balls, and also the same look with much of my pottery is just the terracotta pots. This lavender here, this Spanish lavender, and also that one over there, these seeded themselves. A lot of lavender does that throughout my gardens as well. I have a video from last season on plants that reseed themselves in my garden if you want to check that out, because that gives you good ideas of plants that can naturalize in your garden if you're in a similar environment to mine. This is a Painted Lady, I believe it's called, Spirea. I don't know that it's sold anymore by Proven Winners, and I'm not really sure why, because I just think it's so beautiful. A lot of the leaves have this variegation on them, and then it blooms a light pink, and I just think it's such a neat textured leaf. It's so different than any other spireas that I have, so I really love that one. It's seedless, so it doesn't spread, even though I kind of wish it would. There's another Concord barberry, but gosh, look at that color. It's so beautiful. I hear obviously people don't like barberries if they spread and they get invasive. I totally get that, but I'm sad they don't get more love in areas that doesn't happen, because they are very versatile and add a lot to the garden. So some other perennials that are coming up. This is a little shrub that I planted in last year. I got it at Garden Palooza at Bauman Farms. I'll have to look and see if I can remember what it's called, but it came back beautifully, and I'm excited to see that. It has little pink flowers on it, so I'm excited to see what that does in the garden this year. Also have some hydrangeas in this bed that have gotten trampled by the dogs season after season, and I don't know what they're going to do. The idea was to have 3 of them. There's one here, there's one over there, and then one down on the end. I don't know. We'll see what they do. We'll see if they recover from their battery that they've taken. I just put in this boxwood here because I cut back this lavender really hard. This lavender was taking up this entire space, and I cut that back so I could put in another boxwood to coordinate with the 2 there and the 2 down there, just so that I could have that continuity throughout the bed. You can see though, a lot of times people say that if you cut down lavender into the really woody stuff, it won't push new growth, but that is all new growth on very, very old wood. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that. So yeah, you can see on this hydrangea, it has some new growth, but not much. So those other 2 might get moved into other spaces in the garden, and then I might replace all 3 of these with something else. So a lot of repetition throughout these beds, so that when they are in bloom and they're full, they just kind of flow, flow throughout. And yeah, there's some stacky back there. That's a Summer Crush, what the variety is called. I planted that in last year, so it's fun to see how beautiful that is when it's coming up. And ended in this bed with a burning bush. So now we'll scroll this way. The sun is coming out, so the lighting is going to get a little difficult, but I think first we'll walk back over here to the patio. Okay, we'll start right here on the patio. We were just right over there looking at that garden bed. Now we're on the patio, and you can see again some repeated boxwood balls. Again, those are just a green velvet. I think I got those at Costco a couple years ago, and I just, each season just prune them into these little balls. Kind of balances out, I feel like the like rustic kind of free feeling of a lot of the rest of my gardens. I like to have that balance. Try not to cast shadows on here. So this is another shade bed. It does get the morning sun, as you can see, but then it's shaded throughout most of the rest of the day. So there's some Brunnera in here. I just love that forget-me-not like flower. I just think that's so sweet. And then after the flowers are done, you can see those beautiful leaves that will come on after, and that's primarily what you'll see the rest of the season. So dogwood is probably its best its best blooming year yet. It's just a sweet little dogwood that has been in this space. Maybe this is its 4th year, I think, in this spot. There's some hellebores and some heuchera throughout. I've been really happy with how this heuchera has done. Another one down there in these containers. I do have the tag still for this one, so I'll put it up on the screen of what this variety is, but I really, really have liked it. And I like putting heuchera in containers because my ground does seem to like to heave it out, if that makes sense. It kind of lifts it out of the ground, and it doesn't always do the best. So I like having them in containers, like these two are, and that's been really pretty. So this is the other summer crush that I was pointing out over there on the other side of the patio over there. This one is obviously way far ahead of that one. I don't know exactly why. Just maybe gets more sun, what the deal is, happier, healthier, better spot. But this one is looking really, really great. And you remember me putting this one in last year, I had a real hard time deciding exactly where I was going to put it and all that stuff. But so this will be fun to see this one come into its own in this space for the first time this season. There's another one of the banana appeal anise trees, anise shrubs there. And there's a couple ferns back there. Also have a pink mink clematis that's climbing up this trellis. I did not cut it back this year, so unfortunately there's a lot of growth coming out up top and not so much on the bottom, but that's okay because it is pretty much covered by the shrubs anyways. There's a sweet box shrub right there that's already bloomed and smelled wonderfully. That's this one right here. It's hard to see the distinction with the lighting as it is, but that is a lovely sarcococa, I think is how you pronounce it. Smells amazing when it blooms in the winter. There's another hellebore down here and the boxwood ball in the container. This one, the clematis is the clematis Montana, I want to say. And I didn't realize that this was one of the varieties that blooms on old wood. So I would always cut it back and it wouldn't bloom. And last year I decided not to cut it back. And you can see it has grown last year all the way up there. It's all the way coming out of the top of my privet over there, absolutely covering everything, but it is covered in buds. And I'm so excited to see it finally bloom. This is terrible lighting for this, I'm sorry, but I will definitely show you guys once this starts to open up its blooms, because I think it's just going to be super memorable. I'm gonna really like it, which is good because then I will have to cut it back because I don't want it doing this on all the plants around it. So that's kind of a bummer, but it'll be beautiful in the meantime. So here is some lion's mane. To look that one up. Blooming beautifully right here in this spot, and this spot just a really cheerful plant. Okay, so over here I did show you guys recently this little stand of candy tuft. It is still in full bloom. This blooms just on and on and on. Some Spanish lavender next to that blooms pink, and a butterfly bush there. This is a thundercloud plum that is already all done blooming. This is the first tree that I have in my gardens that blooms. It's the first one to bloom. You can see I did have to take out a pretty substantial branch right there, but that was okay. It ended up kind of opening up the space a little bit more. But you see the pretty texture of the penstemon that's coming up. And there's a couple heucheras in containers here. And Fat Albert, blue spruce, Fat Albert spruce, whatever that is, that's been in this container for a long time. And it just continues to be happy. I think it's probably obviously making it not get as big as it might otherwise be, but that's okay. Okay, so the lighting's going to start to get tricky, but we'll see if we can still see what we're looking at here. Down here we have some Jacob's Ladder, the Heaven Sent Jacob's Ladder by Proven Winners. I'm going to see how that does this year. It tends to get powdery mildew for me, but I just love the texture of the leaves and stuff, so there it stays. Here's some heucheras that I planted in last year. Along this edge, another euonymus. This was actually in cone form when I got it, but it's grown so much it's kind of lost that structure, but that's okay. In this container right here and behind there, I have the Sun King Aurelia that likes shade, so I think it'll be happy over here because even in the afternoon, it's pretty shaded by the barberry and by this Japanese maple, or the red leaf maple. So surrounded by some loosestrife, so those will kind of rotate, rotate bloom time. I don't know if you guys remember, I transplanted back here last season these these hosta. I have them covered because the dogs like to come back here and lay, and I didn't want those to get broken off and trampled before they had a chance to actually really, get up and open up their leaves. So we'll come down here. You guys remember this area, we worked on this together, putting in this rock wall, and we transplanted up out of the front garden the Hakonakloa, the Brunnera, and the Ajuga, and even the heuchera. Everything I transplanted over here took, and it's looking beautiful. I'm so thankful, and I'm so excited to see what this space does as all of these things continue to grow in. I have a lemony lace elderberry right there that is looking beautiful. It's not planted, obviously, but it's liking that spot, which is surprising because it doesn't get much sun, so we'll see. But in that container right there, you see there's a bunch of hellebores, but there is also a big, huge hosta that is about to unfurl, and it is going to be glorious because it's the third year that it's in this space. And you know that they say about sleep, leap, creep. This is its leap year, and I think that's going to be amazing. I can see it right out my bedroom window, and so that one's fun to watch. These are some more of the banana appeal anise shrubs that I planted in. I don't think I did that in a video. I think I recorded it, but my audio wasn't working, so I didn't end up showing it. But there's 3 of them here. They have some winter damage, but because I planted them in pretty late in the season. They are evergreen, so I will just cut off the damaged areas and they'll push new growth and be beautiful. Here's a sweet little clematis that is growing up this bird feeder, and this is another one that just did absolutely nothing last year, and now it's blooming and it has these sweet flowers on it. I mean, I love, vines like this that have just the flowers that kind of bell-shaped drape like that. I think they're so sweet. And I'm so excited to see how well this one is doing. I hope it continues to thrive now that the maple tree above me is leafed out, because it's getting a lot more shade now. So we'll see this guy. We'll come over here for this angle. So this tree, I've talked about it before, but if you're new to the channel, this came from my parents' house that I grew up in. It was a seedling that, seeded itself in their garden from the parent tree, and they would dig them up and put them into pots and let them grow on a bit, and then they would give them away to people as gifts or whatever. And this is one that I took, and it is, I get emotional just thinking about it because it is such a special tree to me, coming from the house I grew up in. They no longer live there, but I'm sure the parent tree lives on. But it's beautiful. I've taken care to prune it, open it up in the center, so it gets lots of airflow and all that. And yeah, I really love it. So you can see it is what shades the rest of this garden. I just think it's a really sweet, cozy garden. This shrub behind there, that's a Miss Kim lilac. I pruned it pretty hard last year, so I don't know that it'll bloom this year. I haven't actually even checked. Let's see if it has any buds on it. It probably doesn't. Yeah, these bloom on old wood, and so probably because of the timing that I pruned it, it didn't have a chance to set buds, but that's okay. It's a pretty green element in the garden. So I'll go this way. This is my garden shed. not really a greenhouse, though it could be because it does have a lot of windows, so it does let in a lot of light, but it is primarily just my garden shed for storage. There are some plants in there right now, but here's some cushion spurge that has seeded itself down this pathway. I pull this out a lot, but I do appreciate, you know, some of the places where it seeds itself. I think it's pretty sweet. We'll come this way. This little lilac is trying really hard. One bloom on it. It smells wonderful, but it's kind of a bummer that it hasn't. This is its second year in the ground, so possibly next year we'll see a better show. I don't know if you guys remember when I got this planter at Farmington Gardens. I got it last year. It was on a super good sale, so that was fun. I got that planted up with some violas and some daffodils that need to be transplanted out and planted out in the landscape. Some sedum and some trailing rosemary. I was thinking that this and the rosemary would be really great for this hot spot that this is in. We'll see what I decide to replace the pansies and the daffodils with. We have a climbing rose right here that I'm kind of trying to train up to go up and over onto the garden shed, and it has a few buds on it, so I'm excited to see that. That's an Eden climbing rose, and I love this bloom. I haven't had it in the ground too long to know exactly, well, it's not even in the ground, but I haven't gotten to experience its full glory yet, but I'm hopeful that we'll get to see that very soon. So this is just a little bitty dry creek bed, which catches the water that drips off of the top of my garden shed. And it's so funny because this was kind of a practical thing to put in, but I actually just really love it. I love how cozy it makes my garden shed space feel and look. Kind of makes the space for me. I love this view. Okay, so coming this way on the other side of the garden shed, I have a honeysuckle. This one doesn't seem to get aphids as badly, but it still does have some, unfortunately. But we'll see if that one blooms. And on the other side here of the garden shed is another very sweet clematis that's also blooming really, really well, a lot better than it has in the past. I don't know, it's just been an amazing spring. I feel like things are blooming better than they have before and are coming on stronger and just looking better. I don't know, not sure what it is, but this is sweet. I have to remind myself to come over to this side of my shed because this is blooming over here, and it needs attention because it's so sweet. Okay, the sun is coming up, so it's going to get kind of bright, but I just wanted to show you I have some pots here in front of my shed. There's a camellia. I planted it in here last year, and it did not bloom this year. I don't know if these, I don't know. Sorry for my focus. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I'm not sure if these are buds yet. I think it already should have bloomed. I'm not really sure, but at any rate, it was beautiful. It's a beautiful glossy evergreen shrub, so it's fine. There's some boxwood. This is another cone boxwood that I'm training up to be that shape. Oh, some pretty plants in there, and just a couple more here on this chair in pots. A Kimberly fern that I don't think is coming back. And we'll just scan this way in this garden bed. Again, I'm sorry for the lighting. The sun is coming up and kind of messing with us, but you can see this beautiful ajuga right here. The bright chartreuse leaves. Love that against the purpley blooms. I think that is striking in this bed against especially this gorgeous color of this heuchera that I have 4 of going in here. So here's another heaven sent Jacob's ladder. This one has more space, so I think it is a better representation of what the plant does, with a little hosta behind it. That's a blue cup hosta that's coming up. I had to sprinkle for slugs around that because I was seeing them already attacking these ones over here. So Maybe we'll be able to see this better from the other side, but this is another one of the Heaven Sent Jacob's Ladder in a container, and it looks lovely right there. So Memora Juga, and this is another double file by Burnham, which I don't see any flowers on. So that's interesting. I think it's just kind of getting established in its space. So that's okay. You know, sometimes things just take a minute to get settled in, and that's okay. As long as it's putting on growth and leaves and all that stuff, I'm fine with it. So some Abelia here. I used to have 3, but the third one didn't make it. So there's just 2 of those there now. Another Weigela that I pruned back pretty hard last year, but I do see that it has some buds on it. So I'm glad to see that recovered from my pruning. And this direction, this is a, I just forget the name of this spirea. I'll have to put it on the screen, but there's one there and then one back there. This one I pruned back really hard, but look at how beautiful it's coming back. It's super dense and really healthy and really full. So spireas are funny that way. You can really prune them back almost like a perennial, and they just rebound beautifully. In front of that, we have some Baptisia. Super fun. Like this, I just feel like this last year, I feel like it bloomed in summer, but it's already totally covered in buds. So that's going to be a show that this year. I think those are maybe the 4th year of those in the garden. So those have become established and I think ready to show what they're made of. Some lemon coral sedum in the garden here, which is a perennial for me. And these lavender, I don't know, they might be in for their final season here to be replaced by some smaller, to replant with some smaller, because they are just really covering up what's behind them. I could try what I did with the other one and cut it all the way back, but this is a different variety than the one I just showed you in the back garden. This is a Spanish lavender. That one over there was an English lavender. So this one might not respond as well to that harsh pruning, but you can see, I mean, it's pretty much blocking the things that are behind it, but it's beautiful when it blooms. So I'll give it one more go, and then maybe once it's done blooming, I'll pull them out and replace those. So more drops of Jupiter, oregano, and a buddleia. And then these are 2 younger plantings of the Spanish lavender. And you can see this one's all budded up already. So these ones are not. So that's interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see. This one and its neighbor, these ones are all budded up. But anyway, we'll see what that means for these ones over here. I don't know why they are delayed. Okay, so while we're right here, I'm just going to end this tour video by panning around and showing you the perspective from where I'm at. This is now our front garden, which I gave you a tour through in our last video. You can see there's the arbor with the climbing rose on it, and the front walk that goes up to our front porch and the front lawn and all that. So hopefully this gives you a good idea, a good tour, a good perspective of our space. Just so that when I'm doing videos and you only see like one little portion of the garden, you have a better idea of like where I'm at and where the garden is located, and in respect to all the rest of the garden. So I hope this was fun for you to see what is blooming in my garden here in towards the end of April. It's just the most beautiful time, I think, in the garden, in my garden anyway, here in Western Oregon, zone 8B. This is just our lush, green, fresh time of the year. Come summer, when we have less rain and I am not able to water as much because we're on a low yielding well, things like our grass, I don't water our grass, so it doesn't look as beautiful. So I just love this time of the year, and I'm glad to have gotten this tour in. I think last year, the first tour I did was in June. So now you can see what my garden is like this time of the year as well. So that's Bella. She's my border collie. and she's sweet. So anyways, thanks for hanging out with me while I did this garden tour here in our backyard, and hanging out with me while I did the tour in our front yard the other day. If you have any questions about anything that you've seen in these videos, any of the plants, or anything that you might think of, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions and give you my thoughts on stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to answer and help you out if you have any questions. So we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.